Good. And just a Kate Cheese, I want to move the motion. I don't think it was properly moved at the start. And I'm delighted the Minister Butler is here because you might allow me to digress slightly on another issue. But Minister, I want to first of all thank weeks ago all the Éireann O'Donnell, Brian O'Donnell, Agus Murray, Agus Valerie in our office and our support team for bringing this comprehensive motion forward. And I make no apologies for it. They didn't do it. They did it with our input and oversight. We take responsibility of what is in it. I would take no lecture from the Labour Party, or indeed from Social Democrats, about our motion. And I thank the wise words of Deputy Concoll and Deputy Connolly for being so mild and being so accurate and so praiseworthy of it. And we're entitled to bring it forward and deal with it in our own time. And they have plenty of time to bring it forward too. But the Labour Party have an obsession. An obsession. Former Minister thinks he's still Minister, or Taoiseach, Robocop, AYK, Deputy Adam Kelly, and he lectures us all about masks. And then he goes in the loose without a mask. He's some man to lecture. And Deputy Duncan Smith, there's some people to lecture. They cut the widow's pension, they cut the women's pensions, and they never forgiven for it. I think their anger and anxiety is about the 3% are languishing in the polls under Deputy Kelly. I'll say no more, but we have our right, and thank you for protecting our rights, always Councillor, to defend here. I want to first again to praise the Garda Síochána, the frontline services, and not clapping in the back, and the community groups who have risen up and did so much, and the community guard in my own area in Care and Clonmel, Sergeant Ray Maloney and Sergeant Kieran O'Regan, and all the community people. The response they made the first time, the second time, and doing it now again, and they'll do it next year when they have to, and they always do. But the response from the HSE, unfortunately, and the Department of Health, which is dysfunctional at best and is ignorant of the views of politicians and doesn't want to know it. And Micheál Martin can lap it up because he set him up and he has failed ever since to disband him. Out of control, totally, no respect for politicians. We saw that recently when it happened in Carrick-on-Suir during the week, and no respect whatsoever. So he can, you know what I mean, he can wax in it. The whole situation has been handled idiotically and indeed illogically. And it's from start to finish. And I could go from my own county of Skeenarinka right down to Carrick-on-Suir and now up to Roscrea. So in the middle of it, but the HSE are doing things down in the middle of the Department of Health that they wanted to do for a long time. That's disband and close all the rural and small hospitals. All our deputies, I thank them for the contribution and support. I mentioned what's been happening to their constituencies. But we're under sustained attack. And first I want to wish Mr Butler and her husband, I didn't realise yesterday he's not well at the moment, wish him well on a personal level, of course I do. And I wouldn't want to have anything that would hurt them, our offence. But to take away our services in St Bridget's Hospital in Carrick, and the Minister go on the radio, in Maggie Thatcher-like talk, out, it's finished, gone. God, we heard that before from people, and where are they now? And then to attack Roscrea, the other end of the county, the Dean Maxwell home went into the meeting yesterday with senior officials in the HSE and to say they were rude and they were disrespectful. Minister was in the meeting as well to us public reps. That just this is happening. It's going to be closed as a long stay, and I want to support Michael Smith there, Councillor Michael Smith, and ask the Minister here and Minister Downey to meet with Councillor Michael Smith, Carhill County Council, and the committee regarding Dean Maxwell, a wonderful place, a wonderful home in Roscrea. I want to also ask you, Minister, and Minister Donnelly to meet with Councillor Kieran Buck, Councillor Dinny Dunn, Eddie Reid and Catherine and the nursing staff and the doctors associated with that wonderful institution of St Bridget's and Carrick-on-Suir. It has to remain open, and you can't blame COVID or Chernobyl or any issue like that suits you to put a cloud over things and take away a service that has served so many people in your county as well as mine, Minister. So please, I want a commitment that you'll meet those people and listen to them. Now, as regards the illogical and whatever goes on, we have farm inspections, yes, been carried on in abeyance. In abeyance. Hill sheep farmers are expected to round up sheep, whether they have 500 or 5,000 or 15,000. When we want to get information from departments, it's so slow now. And I support the staff in social welfare and all departments try to help. But if you want any schemes and all, it's very slow, and departments especially, they're out there working from home. But they can go on farms and inspect. I've said all the time, use technology, use drones. So look, that has to be respected. Support the farmers, support the communities is what we need. I also want to say that, as I said, teachers in schools and classes of 30, and I have an email there from a teacher, I can read it to you. Her son is type 2 diabetic, and he's after getting flus 3 times in the last month with open windows in schools. And we're forcing the schools. And what happened to the teacher in Claremorris is not in short of intimidation. And what happened, you know, with the priest in Cavan, not in short of intimidation. The Gardaí have to do their job, yes. But there are ways and means of doing it. And who said it? Honey is better than the vinegar. Of course it is. And talk to people. They naturally call the Kayla, bring them with you. And that's why you have failed spectacularly. And that's why we're calling across this motion to the money's been thrown at problems, but it's not reaching the right people. This, just on mental health, our figures were questioned. And I want to thank Brian, who did the research. And the Department of Health figures that the Department of Health funding allocated to mental health in recent years ranged from 5.7% to 6.3%. This is your department, Minister. While in 2019 it was 6.3%, but we've fallen dramatically to 5.2% in 2021. Department of Health figures for Deputy Duncan Smith, if he wants to know, and whoever else questioned it. Department figures, Minister's own figures, and she's Minister of Mental Health, and we know the crises that are there already, and we have the problem with St Michael's and our beds that we need back to Tipperary, Minister. So we have, on 3 fronts, you're around, the Department, not you particularly, but the Department of Health are attacking us in Tipperary. And Tipperary are proud people, I said before. They'll rise up in the spirit of Kickham. They'll rise up in the spirit of Dan Breen, Sean O'Trassic, and indeed our footballer that died in Bloody Sunday in Croke Park, Michael Hogan. And we'll do that. We're not going to take this kicking around for the HSE, unelected, unaccountable mandarins. As I said as well, the PCR tests. All the time I have said the PCR tests. There's evidence there that they're not accurate. Why have you touched a spite against the antigen test? And then to have a publican that doing his best to keep his pub going, keep the COVID free with antigen tests. And he to be arrested. I don't know what's going on, and we're creating a climate of fear. And it's back to days in Russia and communist countries. That's what it is. Don't talk to people, don't engage, don't crowd. And I don't want anyone to crowd. I want to respect hygiene and people be careful and mind their elderly. But you put people with COVID into the nursing homes and cause the spread of it. You still have a problem with nursing homes. I want to salute every nursing home to get an efforts they have made to keep it out. But you put them in. The Department of Health and HSE put people with COVID in there. It's the war trials in The Hague it should be brought to for war crimes against humanity. That's what should be done with the ministers, Harris and indeed Donnelly and his officials. Put people with COVID in there. But they had no resources, abandoned them, many cases of it. So as well as that, I want to also say to, as I said, the guarantee of efforts have been made. I have been raising many issues here, and thankfully we walked through some of them and dancing. The Nadine Green Carisha Tipper Dawn. We can dance again, Count Corey, and come next we'll be able to do a real few. We won't have lost all the talents. The musicians have been vilified and petrified, and the funding hasn't got down to them. Big funding have got the big bands and multiple, lots of funding in some cases, because the SWAB at doing the adaptations and the grant application forms hasn't got down to the ordinary man in the van. I have them in Tipperary by the spadeful. You have them as well. Matt Patsy in Carrickford, you know him well, Minister. I have Fran and Muriel, and I have indeed Trudy Laura, who entertained us on the Late last night. There are countless, Willie Bunn, you name them, they're there, Paul Lafford, brilliant people, but they have all been denied the right to work. So we haven't the right to work. So this motion, as we brought forward here today, was an attempt by us to have a proper debate. We have no debate on the vaccines, none. We have a small bit of a debate this evening. We look for extra time. Our group will have 6 minutes. Our group gave our 2 hours today to this serious motion that has such a wide impact across a wide range of societies, and we're looking for multi-disciplinary strategy for an exit. We must keep the businesses going. The publicans have been vilified and destroyed. Small pubs, the horrible name. And when I asked Board Fault at the Ask Committee, they said they didn't give them the name. I asked them who came up with the €9 meal. They said they didn't. So who's cutting who? It's a case of around the kitchen and mind the dresser, and we won't get the truth. We have to get the truth. None of our people in the rural independent, and myself included, are anti-vaccine. We have huge concerns about the lack of debate and transparency. We saw that yesterday. We haven't any sign of a kind of a scheme to support people who, and they do with all vaccines, have repercussions and get ill. And that hasn't been discussed. The Minister said yesterday at the Taoiseach that he discussed it in the Cabinet and looked at some report. Why isn't that there? Why is it all the push? And how dare Deputy Adam Kelly take it upon himself, taking your job, I say, Count Cola, to write to all of us, put in our pigeonholes, if you wouldn't mind, to demand that we sign up to his vaccine policy. I wonder, has he vested interest in the vaccine policies? He must have something, because every day he gets up here, he's talking about nothing only vaccine. He needs some kind of injection to get him off that topic and look after the people of Tipperary. That's what he needs. How dare the cheek of him, the arrogance of him. I didn't reply to Rob Owen to be intimidated or bullied by any other TD in the House. It's a free democratic country we live in, and we'll make up our mind with advice of our doctors and consultants and specialists. I've underlined issues myself. But for my fucking score, Count Cola, I want to say that we must bring the people with us, and we haven't. We've left them behind, as I said to the Republicans. The people denied to go to Mass. The people denied, their rights. And I said the school children blown out the window, and the department to bully that teacher to open up again. That teacher and board of management do a service to the people, and they decided to close the school because of fear. I'm saying to you, Minister, the marches will continue in Carrickford. Minister Butler, meet that group, as I said, Councillor Dunn and Councillor Burke and their teams, and above all the staff, Dr. Flanagan and the people there. Meet Councillor Michael Smith and his team for that wonderful Dean Maxwell in Tip Town. Stop this bullying and intimidation of wiping away our services with the HSE. They've been found cotton-napping here, been unable to deliver and respond to this pandemic. They can't respond to the winter flu. A HSE department that lost 500,000 flu vaccines, and now they want to administer 8.5 million of them. I have no faith in them whatsoever. No faith in them. So we have a lot to sort out. We have a lot to get fixed up, Minister. I wish you well in your stint in the department, but it takes some moving. They need to listen to the people. And the fact that they're unelected, unaccountable, is shocking. We're elected, and we're elected by the people for the time being, and I value that and respect the mandate. But these people can come in with a decision just to leave. 8 senior officials came into that meeting, a Zoom meeting. I struggled to get on with technology, but 8 of them to tell us, sorry lads, it's over. You don't have any more long-stay bills than Dean Maxwell. You told us last week, and he went on way then to an insult to injury to say that it's closed, it's gone, finito, forget it. You're going to put diabetic services into it. There's a monstrosity of a primary health centre in front of it, half empty. Put all the services back in there. Gave us back our wonderful hospital in St. Bridget's. Gave us access to our hospice beds that people have got excellent palliative care families. And we have a lift in the building, and we have showers in the building. It's not Dickensian, it's no older than Clonmel and many other district hospitals in the country.
Thank you very much, Deputy.
Give it back to us. So listen, thanks everybody for speaking to the motion and supporting it. And I'm disappointed the government's counter motion is only waffle as usual, and we're pushing this to a vote. Good.
Thank you very much.